What is going on, guys? It's Stribbers and welcome to episode 28 of PGR2 Road to Platinum. So we've been working on the Grand Touring series, completing 5 events on Platinum, and we've got 4 more events to do today. As per usual, we've got a couple street races, an overtake and a hot lap, so we'll be kicking things off with a street race in this episode. Doing something a little bit more challenging, we are going to be using the Ferrari Testarossa, which is probably the 4th best car in this class, behind the 550, the 575 and also the Mercedes SL55. And we'll be up against the SL55 in first place here, and this was actually very difficult, to be honest. The Testarossa is not as good as the Mercedes in a straight line, and definitely not as good around the corner. Power slides a lot, it's not got as good brakes, and it's just not got as good handling in general, so it was a lot more of a challenge. But we managed to get into 3rd place after the first corner. We've got 5 laps on this track, so we've got plenty of time to catch up, as there is another Testarossa in front of us that we are hunting down, about half a second behind. Early in the brakes, and this thing just power slides for days. You can just brake normally and it power slides. You just can't handle this normally. And the AI on that corner there always seemed to crash into that wall, which gives us an advantage to try and catch up. So we did overtake the Testarossa on that corner. Again, just turning in normally, and it's just got the back end out, going sideways around there. But we are in 2nd place with the Testarossa right behind us. And we're not going to catch this Mercedes on the straight, so we're going to have to drive very well, try and beat this thing. Up into lap 2, still in 2nd place, but taking this corner very well indeed, gaining a lot of ground on the Mercedes there. You can lift off slightly through there, no need to brake, and the same round this section, just a little layoff at the throttle, bringing your speed through there, carrying it round, and we're right behind this Mercedes now. No way round, unfortunately, so we're going to have to rear end him, give him a little speed boost. Looking up the inside of him here, managed to just about pull it off, did bully him a little bit, pushing him to the right hand side. And taking that corner okay, as you see the AI hits that corner again, slowing them down, which they do on every lap, which is a little strange, but it helps us out quite a lot. Again, sliding through this corner. Not ideal, but it's the way this car goes round the corners, unfortunately. And he is going to be on our tail, pushing hard to try and re-overtake us as we come across for the 3rd lap, and he is right on our bumper now. The Mercedes is a lot better in general than the Testarossa, so I'm really challenging myself trying to beat it in this car. Very, very nearly hitting the barrier on the inside there, but just about getting away with it. As we come to this flat out section again, well, I say flat out, you do lift off slightly, and you can see him catching us here on the straight. It is not the Testarossa's strong point, but doing that corner okay, not too bad. Unfortunately, I wasn't really paying attention what I was doing and did clip the barrier there, losing our clean race and some speed. But obviously the AI did that thing again where it hits the barrier. I'm not sure if we'd be able to complete this if the AI didn't hit the barrier every time, but luckily they do, which gives us a fighting chance. And going over that raised curb there really does alter how your car turns. You've got to turn in a lot more, as we nearly get spun out by the Mercedes going for an inside overtake there, pushing us over to the right of the track and sliding out, but just about holding on to it, as he's still right behind us. We literally look behind, and every time we do, the Mercedes is in the same place, pretty much. Very, very nearly hitting the barrier on that section, really pushing the limits of this car now, trying to gain any time ahead of this Mercedes. Coming round this corner, not doing too bad there, and avoiding that barrier this time. And of course we're going to pull away on this section as the Mercedes hits the barrier once again. Lovely bit of coding there for the AI. Power sliding round this as normal, but a lot worse than normal, to be honest. So we'll have our normal look behind, and there he is, right behind us again in the normal position. Got to try and not get spun out this time. So I did try and go for a defensive manoeuvre on the inside because I knew what was coming. But went a little bit too close and hit the barrier, and he comes sliding past as we knew we were going to get spun out again. But luckily on this lap he decides to go on the inside of that barrier, and I do another terrible couple of corners there, losing a lot of speed, but he went on the inside of that two-way barrier, losing so much speed and basically handing us the win, so I'm not going to complain about that. As you can see, we cannot even see him in the rear view mirror. 4 seconds behind now, so done us a favour there. But I was just happy to try and test out this Testarossa for Platinum difficulty, and it did pay off in the end. But you know, if you're wanting to get the races done as quick as possible, I wouldn't recommend using this car whatsoever. Definitely stick to the strong 3 in this class. But we're coming up to the line now. 4.5 seconds clear of the Mercedes, round the last corner, and we did manage to win, so I'm happy about that. But I'm not going to go near this car again, but it was fun to try it out, fun to challenge myself. But there we are, 2,300 kudos for that event, another platinum medal down, and 7,300 altogether, so that's quite nice. Moving into the second event of this episode, which is an overtake. On quite a large track actually, very, very wide track, lots of straight line speed needed, which is why I picked the 575 in Moscow, and of course the track's going to be wide in Moscow, as it always is. Enough room for about 10 cars width-wise here, but we've got 7 cars as per usual in an overtake. I think it was 3 minutes 40 to start off with. So we're going to go around the outside of this first car, because if you try and go around the inside you will end up crashing, but you can nearly go flat out around that section. I think on the first lap, because you haven't got quite as much speed, you can go flat out around the outside of that car. And braking harshly around this right hand sweeping corner initially, and then just sort of judging how much throttle input to put on. Going round and then overtaking the second car, taking this corner there, and this corner I always struggle getting the right line here. That was completely the wrong line. I meant to pull over to the left and then cut into the apex, but yeah, I went way too close to the apex there, meaning I had to slow down quite a lot. So I'll have to see if I can nail that on the next lap. Chasing down this third car, and then coming round the last corner before back onto the very, very long straight. Now this straight is, it comes past the finish line, and then we've obviously got what you've seen already, so it is a very, very long straight. I mean, they've got some slight corners in, but it's pretty much a long straight, so this Ferrari is doing the business on this part of the track. So now this section you do have to brake slightly and lift off, but then you can just about go full speed as you do come off the ground momentarily. So you're losing a bit of turning ability there. We've got 3 cars down, 4 to go. Coming around this section again, having a look around the corner, we can just about see the 4th car. So we'll be chasing him down. It's hard to see the braking lines in this this race. As you see, I did pretty much an identical corner to my first one, even worse because I get hung up on the barrier a little bit there, slowing us down. But I cannot get that corner right, so that is my nemesis for this track at the moment. Behind this, is it the Morgan? It's behind the Morgan, and I gave him a little punt out the way as he was hogging the racing line there. So that's 4 cars down, and we can see 2 in the distance there, so hopefully we can catch them on the straight. That would really minimise the pain of trying to overtake them around the corner. Coming around the Porsche now, and I did overtake him way too close, and I've just ended that poor driver's career there. He just absolutely flew into the barrier, sent him to a different realm altogether, and that was very close to hitting that barrier. Using the extreme limits of the track there, probably too much there, a bit too close to crashing. But we've got 1 car to go just over 30 seconds, so there's plenty of time, or so you think. But we can just about see it, so it might be close, this one. Braking the right point this time, and finally getting this line a little better. But we've actually only got 15 seconds left, so at this point I was actually thinking I'm probably not going to do this, mainly due to that corner we just gone round in the previous 2 laps. So we've got 5 seconds left, it's getting really tight now, and somehow, with no time left, I have no idea how much ahead of that car I was, but I managed to do it by the absolute skin of our teeth. Just got past that event, and just got past that car. I have to see that in slow motion to see how close that really was, but it was milliseconds. But nevertheless, still managed to do it. So that's 2 done, moving swiftly on into a hot lap on that funky Moscow track, which I believe we haven't done since the SUV series. I remember this one on the SUV series, and it had quite a few laps on it actually. But it's a long old track, 2 minutes 21. So your best chance is to use the Maranello again, the 575. Always is with the hot laps. Hot laps and time runs, realistically, you're going to have to use the best car in the class, because that is how they've modelled that time. So it'll be very, very difficult to do it in a different class. You can more than likely get away with it in the street race or a one-on-one, but your speed cameras, your time runs, your hot laps, and possibly the cone challenges, to be honest, as well, because you do need speed between the cones. You're going to have to use the best car in the class to give you the best chance anyway. But we're on this funky Russian track, very complicated. Even though it's quite wide, there's a lot of stuff going on in this, but also a lot of straights. I think it's one of the biggest tracks in the game, excluding Nordschleife, the Nürburgring track. Taking out a little bit too wide, not quite in the racing line, but good enough for what we need. So just over a minute gone, so just under halfway in the track. And I always struggle with this section as well. Can't get the right line going left there to go right into that corner, so that's a little bit annoying. Braking early for this section so we can hit both apexes of these sweeping corners. Going out wide here so we can cut into the chicane section, over the apex there. Going a little bit on 2 wheels, slowing us down, but overall not too bad. Over the lip there of that curb. And then nearly going full throttle around here. Just have to lift off slightly, otherwise you will understeer fully into the barrier there, just because we're going so quick at this point. Using the limit of the track there. Could have gone a little closer to the apex on that section. But we're down this very wide straight again. Coming to the last couple corners, and this is where I completely ruined the race. Far too fast round there, leaving us no room to do anything with that corner and that corner as well. That was just a very, very poor line through those last corners. And is that going to affect us? It pretty much is. But we did it just. Very, very close, that one, just because of those last corners. 2:21.427, we passed by less than a tenth of a second, so that was literally by the skin of our teeth, and we've really had a close couple events with that overtake and the hot lap. Extremely close, but we still managed to do them. You know, a win's a win, doesn't matter how close it is. If you do it, you do it. So finishing this episode off with a street race in Moscow again. And it's the same theme with all the street races really, that the Mercedes SL55 is the best car that we come up against in this class. So again, I don't want to use the 550 or the 575 as it will make it too easy. The Testarossa just makes it a bit too hard, so I think the right balance is using the Mercedes. And I've no idea what that Testarossa did there. He had a bit of a malfunction and drove straight into the barrier head first and got stuck, so I don't know what's with the AI in this episode, but they're not doing too well, as I took that a little bit too wide. But they do brake way too much on that corner. As you see, I messed that corner up, but I'm still pulling away from that Mercedes. So the first few corners after the start line, the AI seemed to mess up, which is fine. It gives us an opportunity to get ahead, but I took that a little bit too wide there. As you see, he's right on my tail again now, so we've got to try and do these corners a little bit better. I did a couple practice runs on this track, but you know, with most of the tracks, it takes a while to learn them because they're not well-known tracks like you get in, like, say, Forza or something. Like real-life tracks, they're just tracks they've made up in the game, so you really have got to drive them to learn them. Otherwise, you take the wrong line, you're going too fast, and you're going to mess your race up. So it does require a little bit of practice sometimes. So I think I went around this track once and didn't do very well, so I restarted, and so I had 1 lap's worth of practice in me. But you're not going to remember every corner after only doing 1 lap, so. But we are in first, pretty easily actually, I might add. So this Mercedes doing the business, doing what we need. Coming into the final corner of the first lap, and that Mercedes was going sideways through there, really messing that up. 1.8 seconds behind. Isn't actually as much as I thought it was going to be. But we're coming into their dreaded corner, which is actually pretty easy to do, just come to a standstill almost. But I think he just absolutely smashed into the barrier, the same as that Testarossa did on the first lap. So that's the second race in one episode where the AI are a little bit broken with what paths they take. And we'll have to see how far we are ahead of them at the next split. But he's just made our life a lot easier by giving us the win pretty much, unless we do something catastrophic. But hopefully we shouldn't do. So we're nearly halfway through the first lap, probably slightly under actually. 5.7 seconds yet, so we really did mess up there. Handing us the win. So, looking at it, I probably could have used the Testarossa for this. Just due to the fact that they keep crashing, but anyway. Coming onto this hairpin, which actually broke a little bit too early, and I was inside the line, so I had to correct slightly for that one. Coming down this straight now, and I think the Mercedes is actually the car I've used the most so far in this class, even though it's the third best. But as soon as the other 2 Ferraris start appearing in one-on-ones and the street race, I shall not be using this, just because it won't really stand a chance of beating them. So we'll see in the next few episodes how we will do. And of course it's the last corner of the last lap that I lose my clean race, as I make a habit of doing that. But nevertheless, cross the line in first. That's another 4 platinum medals from this this episode. 4.5 seconds behind he was, and nice amount of kudos there. So that's going to do it for this episode, guys. So we've done quite a few events in this series so far, and we've got a couple one-on-ones, an overtake, and a hot lap in the next episode. And then that just leaves 3 events for this series. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you next time.